welcome back to another episode of the Small Business Growth Podcast. I am so happy that you're here. Here we like to teach people how to stand out and sell out using social media by building a ride or die community around your brand. If you're new here, I am your host, Madison Page. I just want to take a second to welcome you and say hello, and that I'm so happy that you are here. In this podcast, we like to share actual tangible business growth advice, entrepreneurship lifestyle tips, all sorts of things, but we like to teach in a fun, conversational type of way, kind of like sipping coffee with a biz bestie. It's where you and I are actually sitting down and having these conversations face to face. It's not a talk show. It's not me preaching at you. It's not incredibly scripted. This is me having a real conversation with you, like as if you were sitting across from me, sipping a cup of coffee. So if you are not new here, welcome back, girlfriend. Happy to have you. Make sure that you are subscribed. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday, 2 a week. So make sure that you are subscribed. You can get all of the good information that come in, and it does help get this podcast pushed out to other people as well. So if you find this podcast helpful, if you could just subscribe, whether you are watching on Spotify or on Apple, on Stitcher, or if you do know, we have transitioned over to YouTube as well. So if you haven't already, all of the hundreds of you that listen on the podcast version, I would love for you to join on over onto YouTube as well. Why? Because then it can actually feel like I'm in the room with you. And make sure that you are subscribed over there, you're liking the pod, or you are reviewing, whatever that may be. So, all of the housekeeping details. Today we're going to talk about standing out on social media. Something that I think is really interesting is every time I have stand out on social media in a title, it is one of my most listened to episodes of the entire year. My most listened to podcast of this year was, was like the 3 pillars to standing out on social media. And so today we're going to expand on that. We're going to keep on building, and we're going to adjust it for 2024 as well. Standing out is kind of one of those things that it seems like a lot of people feel like they want to do, and they just don't know how, which tells me that you probably feel like you are blending in. So today, let's dive into 3 things that actually work in order to actually stand out on social media today, tomorrow, the next day, and into this next year. So I want to create a list of my top 3 things that are actually working to help people stand out, and that I see time and time again with my clients, and what that really means. So to me, what it means to stand out on social media is that when people come to your profile, they're like, oh my gosh, beautiful, never been done before, iconic, I need this in my life, and they hit follow. If you are standing out on social media, you are blazing your own trail. You are not just imitating all of the reels that you see in your own realm. You actually know what to create in order to get there. You are doing your own thing. You're being creative. You are like, nobody was ever successful by doing exactly the same thing as everybody else. This tells me that if you are listening to this, you're wanting that. You are wanting to be that it girl on Instagram that people find and they're immediately obsessed with. They immediately follow. Your industry is truly only as saturated as your branding allows it to be. I want to say that again. If you're new here, I use this a lot. Your industry is only as saturated as your branding allows it to be. So no matter what, if you sell leggings, if you sell candles, if you sell earrings, if you're a boutique, whatever you are, I'm sure there's a bunch of other options of exactly what you sell out there. If you have a revolutionary product, that's awesome. And honestly, I commend you. That's incredible. The average small business owner is actually just like putting their own spin on a product that's already out there, whatever you're making in that sense. But you can still stand out as if you were a product that has an inherent benefit or an inherently unique in and of itself. If you have a product that isn't based off of your branding, your positioning, your differentiator, your visuals, and all of that, How you stand out is actually saying, I am just not going to be like everybody else here. You're going to get creative. You're going to brainstorm your own ideas. And this is something I've like in my industry, I feel like so many people have the exact same brand. I think everybody is in blazers. They're all like big, black, oversized blazers. They're like doing funny positions in their photos. They have probably a wine glass or champagne, and they blend in. And something that people say to me all the time is like, it's just refreshing to see somebody that is a consultant that doesn't have the like bougie, luxury, black and white branding. And that's not who I am. I'm not bougie. I'm not luxury. I live in a bus most of the year. Right now, I just moved into this beautiful cabin for the winter, but I am a woodsy gal. Like, I do enjoy being comfy. I just threw this shirt on because it looks nicer than what I had on. But it's not like I am this like very, I don't know, even like full makeup, full hair, all of that. That's not who I am. I have chosen to make my brand be exactly who I am. I'm woodsy. I'm outdoorsy. I'm all over the place. I like to travel. Do I like my luxury things? Do I like my basic things? 100%, but that's not what my brand is. And people see that and they feel that. When they come to my podcast, they say, Maddie, I just feel like your podcast is so different than the rest. Why? Because it's not scripted. It's not scripted. I actually really make it feel like it is that hyper conversational. Again, that's doing something different. I've had a lot of people tell me, Maddie, you got to make your podcast more structured. You'll make more money if your podcast is more structured. And I say, heck no. The part that everybody loves about my podcast is it has such little structure to it that sure, I have like an outline that I do follow just to make sure that I don't go off on a tangent, but it's not that I have every word scripted. You listen, I have a lot of people say, Maddie, I can barely listen to other podcasts because once you pointed it out that people just read from a script, I can't unhear it. It just feels like people are reading an audiobook at me. That is something that I have done that's different, that's according to my brand, that allowed me to stand out and allowed me to have these things. So when we're talking about standing out on social media, the basis is that you have to be able to get creative and be different and have courage to like step into that difference, being who you are and just owning it and owning that like it's going to be okay and I'm going to test it out. That's not even one of the three, but that is the major kind of overall umbrella of what we're going to talk about today. Number one, diving into the actual pillars here is your visuals. Your visuals need to make people feel something. Right now, if I look at your profile and your visuals are like just all over the place, you're using totally different colors or it's incredibly hectic and there isn't really a style to it. There's no feeling behind what you're doing. You're just showing your product in your packaging. Like if you have like a skincare and the only thing I see is like the bottles of your product and I don't actually see the texture of it or like what it looks like out there or like a skin, how it's being used. A lot of times your visuals immediately are actually what grabs people's attention. 90% of people are visually motivated, meaning that their strongest form of motivation is something that they are visually attracted to. And so this doesn't mean that I need you to be perfectly aesthetic. And I get this a lot when I say this in my groups. I say you need to have a feeling, you need to have a style, you need to have consistency in your branding. My clients are like, well, Maddie, like I really value transparency and I don't feel like that should be there. Transparency and aesthetics are two different things, my friends. I am not saying that I don't want you to be transparent. I'm not saying that you want to have this perfect life, but I am saying you need to have professional photos. You need to have photos videos out there that look like you actually took some time in order to create them and that you spent, like you actually have value there. You have accessories, you have warmth, you have depth, you have textures. If it's just like you folding up your pieces of clothing and throwing them on a chair and hoping that it looks good, it is very evident that it doesn't feel like that brand. You hear me say this a lot. That I want to turn your small business into a brand, because in my book, small businesses stay small. Brands get brand deals. They get into major retailers. They have major brand communities. You don't hear people say a small business community. Why? Because small businesses are like their own little thing. They are side hustles. Small businesses, I mean, by definition, a small business is anything under 50 people, a company under 50 people. But small businesses, as like the mindset of a small business, stays small. They stay this side hustle. It's all about the product. It's all about, oh my gosh, it's handmade. It's made with love. Go and support me and my small business. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for you have a brand, my friends. And brands have visuals, they have aesthetics, and they care about them. Aesthetics are not dead. I'm not saying that your feed needs to be perfect, but you do need to have cohesiveness on what it is that you have out there. Why? Because your product probably has a style. Whether your candles are minimalist or boho or eccentric, or if your clothing is professional, comfortable, or athletic, changes who is going to actually be attracted to your brand. You need to have visuals out there. You need to have a feeling behind it, and you need consistency behind the style of what it is that you are sharing. That is so very important in order to initially stand out, because what that does is within the first 7 seconds is it cinches people to want to stay along. They're like, ooh, already love the style of this. What else can I have? What else can I love about this brand to make me want to follow them, to make me want to poke around on their website? So first thing to stand out is you need visuals, you need an aesthetic, and you need a style around your brand. You need to care about it. And honestly, having a product photographer come in and take actual product photography goes a long way. And have them take some short little 7-second videos, and you can chop them on up and use them as reels, and it makes such a big difference just having them batched. Excuse me, I just ate a peanut M&M before this, and it's stuck in my throat. I am a closet handful peanut M&M gal throughout the day. You know, it's just like, it's got to happen. Number 2, stop looking at what everybody else is doing. Okay, this is kind of what we've already talked about, but I hear this a lot. Is people are like, well, I was scrolling on my reels and I found one that I really want to make, so I'm going to make that. Do you think that helps you stand out right now? Do you think that does? By you scrolling through your reels to find inspiration, do you think that helps you stand out and look different than everybody else out there? Probably not. Yes, you need to be creative. You can be creative, you are creative, and you have creative bones in your body in order to actually come up with it yourself. You should know enough about your brand and your messaging and what you want people to know in order to come up with phrases on your own. Now, you can take inspiration from something, but you don't want to just copy it word for word. I want you to stop looking for inspiration first and instead search for creativity in yourself. I want you to sit with yourself for at least 10 to 30 minutes, writing down ideas before you just go scrolling through your reels to try to come up with the reels that you're going to create today. Brands stand out. Small businesses blend in. Brands stand out by doing things differently, by blazing their own trail, by picking the things that they want to say, by having a stance on something that they totally believe in, by having deeper meaning behind their brand, by having phrases that have never been heard before out there. You can use trends in order to for your post. You can do the POV, you can do the all like the different audios, things like that. That's totally fine. But you should be creating it on your own. You have to stop looking at what everybody else is doing. I actually feel like you shouldn't even follow a single other creator that makes what you make on Instagram. I honestly don't think I follow any that do what I do on Instagram. I'm trying to think. Maybe subsections that they work with Etsy or they work with product-based business owners, but not exactly what I do. Not business consulting for product-based businesses. Why is because I don't want to see what they do. I don't want to be like, shoot, they're doing a sale right now, or oh my gosh, that's such a, yeah, that is market season. Maybe I need to do something for this. Oh, it's holidays. Maybe am I behind? Do I not have something about the holidays? Do I need to go and do that? I want to be able to think for myself, because if everybody wanted what they had, they would just go there. Instead, I want to think for what I want and what I know my customers need. And so for you, as a product-based, service-based, no matter whatever that is, you want to create you. You want to create what feels good to you and your brand and what makes your brand unique. You don't go and look at all of these other businesses out there, and like when you listen to these podcasts of Glossier or on people you should know, or things you should know, or whatever that podcast is, and they don't say like, oh well, I went on Instagram and I saw something and I just created it. They have their own frameworks, they have their own strategies, and they go after it. So you have to do that too. The people you are most drawn to on social right now are trailblazers. They're doing things differently. They're coming up with social media content that is unique to them. They don't look at everybody else. Their content doesn't look like everyone else. They don't look elsewhere. They look inward for what they're looking for. Last but not least is personal connection. The companies that are going to consistently have personal connection are consistently going to thrive from now and into the future. Consumers are smart. Consumers are skeptical. People want to support you. People want to know you. You would be so surprised the content that actually gets the most engagement is your personal content. Why? Because it gives somebody like a conversation starter for people to actually start with to speak to you. No matter if you're a product, no matter if you're a service, somebody needs to be a face behind the brand. People need to have a face that they can think of behind the brand when they're going into it. And so what this means is you need to get a little bit personal. You don't have to share everything about your life. You don't have to share your kids. You don't have to but you do need to get a little bit personal. Last night I shared about my grocery pickup. I hate grocery shopping. And every time I talk about grocery shopping, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I hate grocery shopping too. And so I started to do grocery pickup. So many people were like, oh my gosh, me too. I do delivery. Girl, why don't you do delivery? I love DoorDash. I started to get all of these DMs of people talking to me about grocery pickup because it humanized myself as something that everybody else has to do, is that they have to do groceries. They got to go grocery shopping. And it's something that mutually people were like, I hate grocery shopping too. Oh my gosh, what a waste of time. Or some people were like, are you kidding me? Grocery shopping is literally my favorite part of the day. And so that personal connection to people starts conversations. It opens the door to some of those stronger conversations, and it allows people to actually connect to you as the business owner and want to support you, and then get to connect with you and feel more engaged and feel more connected. I can't think of a better word for it right now than to your business. They want to support you, and they're ride or die. They're in your community. They're down for it. And whether you completely change the product that you are offering, they're still down for it because they love you. If you feel like you're blending in on social media, it's oftentimes because you are staying safe. You're doing what everybody else is doing, and you're letting your fears of actually standing out and being big and audacious and doing the big thing and out of the box ideas get in the way because they're too big or too much, or people aren't going to like them, or that reel's going to flop. And so I want to challenge you, because you're listening to this episode. I know that you're feeling like you are blending in on social media. If you're feeling like you are just like, you're just like everybody else out there, and you really want to make that stand out, you need to do the things that are in your mind that you are putting off because they're too big or they're too much or they're not necessary. The things that are unique that you would post about, but you haven't. If you are right now are like, well, they do it, I need to do it too, or they're making something for Valentine's Day, I should do something for Valentine's Day. That's not helping you stand out. You need to take this as a sign that people who do the same as everybody else rarely innovate or create anything great. People who truly create a standout anything, an innovative something, or a revolutionary brand, or the fastest growing brand, rarely do things exactly the same as everybody else that's out there. They don't normally just follow a checklist. They do things that are different. They do things that are unique. They go all in on the product photography. They go all in on their visuals, and they have unique visuals, and they're out there and they're doing the thing. You can do that too. You have the creativity inside of you. If you want to stand out on social media in 2024, do things differently, apply your own personal connection and your own personal pillars to it, and focus on your visual element. Now, there's so much I can say to this. Your content matters, your sales process matters, but in order to really just have that magnetic presence online, these are the first three things you need to look at. Are you connecting to people? Do you have a visual element that is magnetizing? And are you doing things that are unique that people really haven't seen before? If the answer to all of those things are no, that is where you need to start. And the answer to any of those are no, that is where you need to start. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope it was a sign for you. And I hope that you take this episode and run with it on the fact that you deserve to be a standout brand. You deserve to be fun, be out of the box, be big, be bold, whatever that is. Get out there and make those videos. I want you to do those things. So come hang out with me on Instagram if you haven't already. It is at This Is Madison Page. We can chat about standing out there. You can send me your profile, let me know, and I would be happy to be like, yep, nope, we need to work on visuals, whatever that is. I'm here for you. I'm in your corner, and you can make sure that you can go ahead and reach out there. Make 2024 the year that you choose to not do everything like everybody else, and you're actually blazing your own trail, and you're doing your own dang thing. Come hang out with me on Instagram at This Is Madison Page. Make sure that you are subscribed. There's a new episode every Tuesday and Friday. We have transitioned over to YouTube as well. If you haven't explored the YouTube, we actually have face-to-face conversations, and it is so much fun. So make sure that you go on over there as well. I hope that you are having a wonderful end of your year or beginning of 2024 as this podcast is coming out, and get out there and start actually standing out. You want to go all in on your business. You're going all in on those big, audacious, big time creative dreams that you have. I love you. I'm rooting for you, and I'm in your corner always.